kick him in the ass.
Turkey takes away that welcome mat for our U.S. troops. May change their mind by the end of the week. So if we go to war without their support and support of other nations, what consequences will we face? For a fair and balanced debate, should be interesting. Joining us from our D.C. Bureau is Dexter Ingram, a threat assessment specialist at the Heritage Foundation. And Dexter, thank you for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
And in studio today, Columbia University law professor and author of a book entitled Romantics at War, Professor George Fletcher. Professor, thank you for being in here.
Hi, Mike.
Appreciate it. Well, let's talk about the big fish that was captured in Islamabad or near Islamabad in Pakistan yesterday, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Just first of all, a reaction, Professor, first from you. Here we go.
It's a very good sign. It looks like we should be concentrating on the war against al-Qaeda and forget about the desire to attack Iran.
But is this one of the terrorists, like in your book you say, that we should show more understanding toward?
Well, it's not a question of showing understanding toward them, but it's a matter of understanding that a terror, it takes a village and it takes a community to generate a terrorist like this. These people just don't wake up one morning and become terrorists. They come from a whole culture that supports them. And the worst thing we should do in our policy is to encourage the development of that culture that in turn generates more terrorists in the future.
Well, how are we encouraging them?
Well, if we attack Iraq, if we exacerbate our relationships with the Islamic world and with the Islamic fundamentalists, then we will generate an entire new generation of potential terrorists who will operate against us in the future. The fact that we catch one is great, but we should think about the future more than the prosecution of this particular sheikh.
Dexter, I can hear you breathing. Go ahead, jump in.
Honestly, this is a huge win when it comes to the war on terror, obviously. And the war on terror and protecting the interest of America, whether it's domestically or abroad, isn't just one part. It isn't just going after terrorists. Part of that is actually finding weapons of mass destruction in places like Iraq, taking out the leadership that actually supports using these weapons against other countries. If you look at recently in Nigeria, they were missing supposedly small amounts of radioactive material. And
well, this is obvious.
These are things that terrorists actually want to use. And if they're in the hands of the wrong people, they
we have to be thinking about this in terms of, we have to think about this in the long run, though, not just in the short run. So the long run, the great danger is North Korea will start selling weapons to terrorists, that if we invade Iraq, and if we're not able to control whatever weapons are now being hidden, they will easily be sold off into the terrorist network. They can easily be exported out of the country if they haven't been already. So
I agree with you 100%. So that's why we need to go in there and stop them now.
It's tremendous naivete to think that we're going to be able to go into this country and to control the underground flow of weapons immediately like that. We have to be thinking in the long run about how to encourage moderate Islam, how to encourage a general attitude that will pay off in a generation. This short-run thinking by the Bush administration is going to get us into a tremendous disaster.
Well, you call him a hopeless romantic, and I guess you might lump me in there too as well. And a lot of people, maybe 71% of the people in America, are hopeless romantics as far as you're concerned. We're willing to go it alone. We don't need to wait for the UN to help us out here. Why is that a romantic look? That America is always right. We will do right over there.
I used to think, actually, that Bush was romantic about this, but had he been a serious romantic, he would have gone in already. But the interesting thing is that Bush, there are two parts of the Bush administration. One is this romantic urge to go it alone, to be the cowboy on the range, to be the lone ranger out there doing justice.
That's not true. He's been trying to get world support.
The other side is calm, calculating, rational, more rational than we generally think. So the fact that they went to the UN for Resolution 1441 got the United States involved in a process that they cannot easily extricate themselves from. They can't just walk away from the UN at this point.
But how can you call him a cowboy when you've got so many countries, most of Eastern Europe now on our side, Italy, Spain, Bulgaria?
These are our client. We know that these are our client states, right? We got a message yesterday from the Turkish parliament, which I think is just extraordinary. Democracy works in Turkey. We should celebrate that. And it works in such a way that the Turkish people got up, and despite their parliament, they said no. I think this is just extraordinary. I wish our democracy worked with as much power and vigor as we've seen in Turkey.
Would you call France and Russia, well, France and Russia especially, and maybe Germany, clients of Iraq then?
No, of course not. Of course not. But they have a strong interest in generating a transatlantic dialogue based upon equality.
They're definitely clients of Iraq. If you look at Iraq's No, look at Iraq's exports. 25% of them come in, or excuse me, imports come in from France. France has been working with Iraq for years. France gave Iraq the capability to have its first nuclear reactor.
Look, I try to keep the debate off the issue of economic. If we want to get on the level of economic incentive, then the argument that we're just interested in
well, let's
oil
keep it on. Let's keep it on
demolishes.
terrorism.
Okay.
Are you still an advisor to the legal counsel of Yasser Hamdi and
yes,
Jose Padilla?
I'm working on these cases.
Jose Padilla.
Yes.
Now, why would you be a legal advisor for their?
Well, these cases are the clearest forms of injustice that we have seen in the United States in a generation. I mean, you as an American citizen have fewer rights today as a result of the court decisions in those cases. I used to think American citizenship was some kind of protection against the dangers of repression in this time of terrorism. But it turns out that we're not protected anymore as American citizens. If we are suspected by the government, we can be imprisoned without a trial. Now, that is a terrifying thought. That is really, and you have fewer rights, I have fewer rights.
A terrifying thought is somebody who, whether they're American and they're already in this country, or whether they're foreign national and they have a bad feeling or they've been brainwashed by some organization. And the terrifying thought is them actually coming into this country and performing something like 9/11.
Look, the Bush administration has been able to do
Hussein has actually said
what the Bush administration has been able to do internally, as no Republican government has been able to achieve. We tried to do it against the communists. The courts resisted. In the 70s and 80s, we tried to do it against the criminal wave that was attacking the United States. We could not do it. Now the government has found a new mythical character called the terrorist, and they're willing to sacrifice our fundamental liberties for the sake of trying to create greater security in the United States.
Mythical characters.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
The idea, the picture of the terrorist as someone who is, we know who the terrorists are. We're after, you know, this is like shooting fish in a barrel, right? They really do not know, apart from this one person captured in Pakistan, we have not had any great success in this. We don't know who the great dangers are.
I think there are a lot of people out there probably wishing, Professor, that we didn't, well...
Then what? Go ahead.
We've captured people in the United States that have had terrorist cells.
Too bad that they're not mythical.
I spend my life worrying and writing about crime and criminal law. I know about the appeal of the victims. I've written a book about victims. Right?
The book is Romantics of War. And Dexter Ingham, thank you for being with us, Professor. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Was brief?
Okay. Oh, yes, a little brief. We'll have it back. Got to take a break. Coming right back with Fox and Friends on a Sunday. Don't go away.